Okay, I am going to give the floor to Scott so he can introduce our speakers, Connie and Kenny.
And I'm not on mute this time, so here we go. Connie Chung and Kenny Gong are a dynamic real estate team committed to exceptional client service with a proven track record and ranking in the top 5% of San Francisco realtors. They intimately know San Francisco as one of the most active, competitive, and cutting-edge real estate markets in the country, and one of the world's most desirable places to live, work, and invest. Consistently setting record-breaking sales and representing some of San Francisco's most spectacular homes, Connie and Kenny view every home as an investment and are real estate investors as well. They strategically advocate on behalf of their clients' interests with strong market expertise and an innovative approach to real estate while standing as respected peers and thought leaders in the industry. Their approach mixes tenacious negotiation with personable demeanors. Our client profile is as diverse as the properties we represent, ranging from teachers to tech executives, doctors to artists, and everyone in between. They look forward to understanding your needs and sharing how best they can be of service to you. So here are Connie and Kenny. And hopefully they're not unmuted.
Hello, everyone. I think can folks hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Hello, WCR of Alameda County. To start off, we're going to do a couple of just quick logistics. We know that y'all have been on a lot of webinars recently, so we're going to do everything that we can to make this one feel as vibrant and interactive as possible. And again, whenever you want to unmute yourself, just hold down the space bar. And forewarning, we also like to call on folks, so be ready to share. And of course, we'll be in the chat box, so if you don't want to speak on video, you can always type in your comments and we'll read those out as well. And we also, first things first, is to grab a pen and a scrap of paper, because we're gonna do some interactive exercises to get the juices flowing. So make sure you have those at hand.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So today's workshop, we're talking all about branding, you and your brand in particular. And what you'll take away is we want you to have a deep dive into the most fundamental question: what is personal branding and why it matters? And then we'll talk about the most important single ingredient that differentiates you from every other realtor in your market, and what that most important ingredient looks like for you. And then we'll briefly cover what personal brand audit you can do after this to really think through your branding and where you want to take it.
Cool. And a little bit about us. There was Scott had our bio, but additionally, now we manage a team in San Francisco, but we work also as educators, trainers, and coaches specializing in personal branding and authentic storytelling. We have a podcast that comes out weekly called The Thoughtful Realtor. And yeah, we're just really, really excited to be here with you all and spend some time with you. So the first question that we're gonna dig into: why does personal branding matter? So before we begin, we're gonna also just start off by saying that this is personal, right? Like, we're here to talk about personal brands, because whether you like it or not, or whether you acknowledge it or not, your brand as a realtor is a personal brand. It's all about you. And you know, we do so much work in serving other people, but when it comes to branding, we got to think about you. You got to think about yourself and how you're best communicating yourself. So the most fundamental question is, what is personal branding? So when you hear that phrase, what comes to mind? Let's get some folks' thoughts. And again, you can just, all you got to do is press to unmute, or you can type it into the chat box.
I think being top of mind for everybody.
Top of mind, absolutely. What makes up, and Viviana says unique, absolutely, absolutely. What makes up a personal brand? Let's see, what about, let's have some let's have some words from our fearless leaders. Diane, what do you think? When you hear the word personal branding, what comes to mind for you? Oh, you have to unmute yourself first, Diane.
Personal branding, I would say that a really thought-provoking bio or video or something that sets you apart from other people, just explaining who you are and what you'll do, what your edge is.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Diane. Jackie says it's your story, 100%.
There you
Barbara, who you are, what your value proposition is. Barbara Clemens, a statement of who you are and what you do. Also could be a simple logo. Absolutely. So this is everything that we're talking about. Absolutely. Social media, website, your bio. Also, this is the way that we like to think about personal branding is your public identity of you and your business created by what you produce and what you put out into the world. So this can include things that are tangible. So this is your website, your logo, your marketing pieces, your bio, but it also includes the intangible things. So someone's experience of you, their perception of you, what they think about you, what they say about you and your business and your service. And what happens when you have a strong personal brand is that even when you're not paying attention, and this is what's really, really critical, even when you're not paying attention at all, your brand can be a member of your team, working for you 24/7. This means that even when you're in the middle of a transaction, showing a ton of value to that one individual client, your brand is still cultivating connections with your past clients that don't see you all the time, your extended SOI, your warm leads that are coming in via referral, your cold leads that people are stumbling onto on your brand online. All of this is what can be working for you if you have a strong personal brand. Anna May says in the chat box, with that description of personal branding, I'm in big trouble. No worries at all, Anna, or anyone else who is worried about it, because what we're here to do is just for you to understand some of the nuances of personal branding so that you can figure out where to go from here. Okay, the one other thing that we also want to mention is that if you have a strong personal brand, it further solidifies your presence with existing superfans and those all-star referral clients. So when you're thinking about that person that you're in the middle of a transaction with, if you have a strong personal brand, what it's actually doing is helping you develop your relationship with that individual client, as well as developing your relationship with all of those other people. So really, really crucial stuff.
Yes, but we all know all personal brands are not created equally. So I'm sure some of you can think of some terrible personal brands, one or two, but we won't name any of them out loud. But just tell us why you think, what are some of those characteristics that make those brands or just like, ooh, let's stay away?
They've lost trust. Reputation.
Yeah, absolutely. Lack of trust, poor reputation. Thanks, Annette.
Some of their logos don't make me feel warm and fuzzy.
Visuals, not so pleasant.
No.
Diane. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes what makes a personal brand terrible is not necessarily that they're produced badly. Maybe it's not that they have an ugly logo, but rather they're just forgettable, like not memorable at all. So what makes a strong personal brand, and this is what touches on what Annette was kind of alluding to, is that the best personal brands not only tie together the tangible and the intangible, but they tie them together with a rope of trust. So needed in creating a personal brand. And there's a popular quote by Zig Ziglar: if people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they will do business with you. So one question I want all of you to keep in the back of your mind is, do people like me? Or do they trust me? And this brings up the first thing that you can't rely on to differentiate your brand, which is friendliness. So then if we can't rely on friendliness, what does create trust? And that's equal parts character and competence. And there are 4 components for the best brands, which include the tangible and intangible, as Kenny mentioned earlier. That's the tangible is our website, social media, logo, all the things we put out into the world. The intangible is our client's experience, what they're saying about us when they're not in the room. Mix that with character and competence. And so these are the 4 components for the best personal brands. And our goal is to focus on the energy in the very center, which includes all 4 of those, which ultimately will be the most important function of a strong personal brand. And there's plenty of room for strong personal brands in every market. There's room for every realtor to have a strong personal brand.
Right. And here's the tricky part though. So you need every single one of these 4 components, right? When you're thinking about your brand. But there is one, and that's character, that is the most important, because this is where differentiation lives. So all of those things that we were talking about, uniqueness, your story, being thought-provoking, a bio that sets you apart, all of it lives in this one component of character. And the way that we want to explain this is we're going to talk about what happens when you focus solely on the other ones. Because it's really easy to kind of scoff at those terrible, kind of unforgettable personal brands. If you think about the agents who are unethical, the ones that have lost trust for people, the ones that have poor reputations, the really salesy agents, or the ones that you just don't really remember. It's often because they're not focusing, or they aren't focusing on any of the 4. But unfortunately, there are a lot of personal brands out there that are run by really well-intentioned agents, great agents, who still focus only on the other 3, the tangible, the intangible, and the competence, and still miss the mark. And so because of that, when they only focus on the 3, they end up with a brand that still feels like everyone else. So I'm going to explain 3 potential pitfalls. And you may be in one of these pitfalls. Like Anna was saying, oh no, I'm in big trouble. That's okay. If you are in one of these pitfalls, that's why we're here, to help you really understand why these don't work. Okay, pitfall number 1, focusing only on the tangible. Someone said, I want to say Susan. Susan said, focusing only on appearance and not content. So this is what we're talking about here. We see this one a lot. The beautiful website, the pretty logo, maybe even some great lifestyle posts, some beautiful listings, but there's nothing in the brand about character or competence. And if you're in a market where no other agent has a level of taste and quality, has a high level of taste and quality, you might be okay to just focus on these pretty things. But I'm going to venture to say, all of us, you all are all in Alameda County. So I want you all to go into your reactions, and I want you to hit a little thumbs up or a clap if you can see that every agent in your market has beautiful brand assets. Do all of the agents in your market have beautiful brand assets? Or the top ones, do they all have beautiful brand assets? Okay, I got a couple claps. Okay, yeah. So our profession these days, especially when you're talking about Alameda County, our profession is getting prettier and prettier. And nowadays it's downright easy to have a great looking brand. So just like you just can't rely on friendliness, you can't rely on pretty. So pitfall number 2 is focusing only on the intangible. We see this one also a lot. Agents who spend all of their time ensuring that their clients have a fantastic experience, but have no branding in sight. You may have happy clients, but this is what happens when you don't focus on branding. You have a client who has amazing experience. Their best friend is now looking. Your client recommends you, but best friend has a colleague who also has an amazing experience with the realtor, except the only thing is that other realtor has a great brand. So if they've got 2 choices, 2 amazing recommendations from 2 amazing top agents, out of the 2, who do you think is gonna get called first? It's gonna be the one who has a personal brand. This could also happen to you. If you're the only agent that the agent recommends to the best friend, there's a good chance that you might get the call. But if that best friend decides to do a single Google search, they're about to run into a dozen agents, top agents that also have personal brands. So you're sort of SOL at that point too. Pitfall number 3 is tangible and intangible, but only with competence. This one is kind of hard to bring up because a lot of people are in this situation. Whereas you might have a good website, you might have beautiful photos, or you might have consistent social media, but the branding is all about competence, about excellent service you provide, the success that you've had with your clients. So I want you all to raise your virtual hands first if you would say that your current brand is known for excellent service. Are you known for excellent service? And if you aren't known for excellent service, I hope that you are. So this is the thing about competence, is that competence and excellence is not very differentiated. It's not that different. Because when you think about all of the most glowing testimonials, most likely all of our glowing testimonials, my glowing testimonials, your glowing testimonials, is going to say something very, very similar. So we're gonna put up a slide here real quick, and it's got a bunch of phrases, and I'm gonna read these phrases out, and I want you to think about whether you have your most glowing reviews, whether they sound similar to this. Personal and professional, professional and personal. I spoke with a few other agents before choosing blank. My agent went above and beyond. They took care of everything. They were responsive and supportive during a really stressful time. My agent has a vast network of relationships. They achieved higher results than expected. They were there for me even after the close. I wouldn't recommend anyone else. So the point of us saying this is that most of your glowing reviews are going to say something very similar, I hope, because you all are known for excellent service. In the hottest markets in the nation, especially in the Bay Area, competence and in fact excellence is the price of admission at the top. So this doesn't mean that your branding shouldn't have competence. And what competence can look like is, let's say, lifestyle photos, things of you at your favorite coffee shop, or like taking people behind the scenes. That's also a way for people to show competence, showing your expertise, showing what kind of real estate knowledge you have, client success stories. This is another way that you can show competence, encouragement. All of these things are amazing, but you can't rely on these things to actually differentiate your brand. Because again, these are the price of admission. So just like friendly, just like pretty, just like your client's experience, you can't rely on competence. So these are things that we see all the time. And in our coaching, we do a lot of sort of helping people dig into all of this, and we'll do a little bit today. But this is the biggest thing that we want you to take away from today, is understanding that differentiation, it can't be on pretty, it can't be on, unfortunately, and it can't be on competence, because excellent service is the price of admission. So what you really have to focus on is how you're expressing your character. And this is why we focus on our character. But the good news is that if you have any kind of branding, you already have something to work with, and there's a good chance that you have some character in there, and you just haven't recognized it yet. So if you're at square zero, like some of you may be at square zero with branding, that's okay too. That's why we're here, to really understand why branding is important. And some of you might actually be like, yeah, I think I'm good. I have a lot of character in my branding. And if so, you just need a couple of tweaks and you might be okay. But for everyone, we just wanted to deepen your understanding of branding by helping you tease out all of these things. And so now we're going to figure out where you go from here. And we're going to talk about how you can sort of understand your specific character, how it's distinct from everyone else, and how we can express that distinct character for you.
Yes, so let's dig into character. First, let's get something out of the way immediately. Raise your hand if you have one or more of these in your current bio. The word integrity, hardworking, honest, professional. So, what we're here to say is we can't have any of that because that's not what we're talking about when we talk about character. These words are crucial, but when we talk about character, what we're exploring is what are the character traits that are distinctly yours, and how do you communicate and express those character traits in your personal branding? Here's the tricky part, and when we work with our coaching clients, we talk about how to actually be authentic. And we hear that word a lot, authentic branding. Oh, they're so authentic. But what does that really mean? And how do we translate our authentic life into an authentic personal brand? It's not always as easy as it sounds, but it's very doable. And this is where we get into the art and science of character. To find out what makes your character and to express those character traits, we use, and this is the single most important ingredient, stories. And these are the kinds of stories that we use and find most powerful and really help you differentiate yourself from any other brand or any other realtor, or escrow officer, or lender out there. And that is origins, motivations, struggles, people, and passions. And when we focus on these kinds of stories, we start to find the differences. My stories are going to be a lot different from Kenny's, and Kenny's will be a lot different from yours.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna grab those pieces of paper and the pen and we're gonna ask you some questions. This is gonna be the interactive, the heavily interactive portion. So get ready to share some stories. We're gonna ask you some questions, and we want you to write down a few thoughts. Specific words, single words are totally great. Bullets are also encouraged. It doesn't have to be long, but you want it to be very, very specific. And then we're also going to call on a few folks to share. So the first thing is origins. What were you like as a kid? Okay, write a few thoughts, write a few thoughts, write a few thoughts. Again, single words are bullets. And we want a few of you all to chime in and share what were you like as a kid. And I saw a little bit of a reaction from Barbara Clemens, so I'm wondering if you can unmute yourself to share.
Yeah, oh my gosh, as a kid, I was pretty outspoken.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that or not? I was pretty outspoken. I was sort of like the person that people gravitated towards. I was athletic and in a lot of different things. So as a kid, I would always, and still to this day, always reach out to help other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was who I was.
And how did, Barbara, real quick, how did you reach out to help other people? What did you do to help?
Well, like when kids, I would share, so mostly if I had something and my neighbor, didn't have it, then I would share what I had with them.
Yeah.
So I would, make sure that people, around me were getting things as well. So
Absolutely.
That was one aspect.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is so good. Outspoken. People gravitated towards Barbara, which of course we all gravitate towards Barbara today. So that's not a surprise. Always helping. Thank you so much for sharing, Barbara. We've got Viviana, smiley, talkative, Linda, gregarious, Anna, yes. Anna, yes, was an awkward dork with a mullet. Yes, get that mullet, Anna. Annette was caring, helping others, a peacemaker. Stacy, shy. imaginative, explorative, curious, adventurous, caring. Susan, chill. Diane, independent, adventurous. So just even with this one question, when we're thinking about origins, now we're talking about differentiation. Because even though there's some similarities with what folks have said, there are different ways of talking about those same sort of character traits. And when we're thinking about, and I also love what Anna also said in the chat, which was, those are boring descriptions, won't find them anywhere in mine. Integrity, hardworking, professional. Absolutely. I want everyone to just give Anna a snap because that's so true. But let's be real. If I were to go to all of your bios right now, I want to say I might find some of those words in there, and that's okay. But this is what we're talking about when we need to bring in these differentiated words into our stories and into our personal branding. Okay, so that's origins. We're going to the next one, motivation. I love this one. What precisely is important to you in life, and why are you a realtor? Write some notes down, write some words, and I want someone to chime in. And if someone doesn't chime in, I'll call on someone. Oh my God. Also, Jess, Anna's also saying people always want to tell me their dirty secrets for some reason. Now that is an origin story. And Annette, can you show the 4 words again too, please? We absolutely will. We're going to take you we're going to take you through each one. So the first one is origins. So the second one is motivation. So let's have someone share what their motivation is. What precisely is important to you in life, and why are you a realtor? Could be separate questions, could be tied in one. Can I ask Kim? Can I ask you to share? And all you got to do is press the space bar. Yeah, press and hold down the space bar. Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Kim.
Sorry, I've been having issues with my speaker.
No worries.
So what is important to me?
What precisely is important to you in life, and why are you a realtor?
Well, I'm not a realtor. I work for a title company.
Why are you a title rep?
Well, what's important to me? I probably would say my faith in God first, and family. And I love helping people. So I love what I do because I help people with their business.
Tell me more about what that actually looks like, helping people with their business.
Sitting down with them one-on-one and finding out what their needs are, so that I can help them achieve their goals and create a win-win situation.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Kim.
You're welcome.
So faith in God, we've got family, we've got helping people one-on-one, really sitting down with people, spending that time. Absolutely. Let's have Jackie. Do we have Jackie? Where'd Jackie go?
Hi.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi. I put educating, sharing knowledge, and giving and empowering people to make solid decisions. Real estate is really wishy-washy, and I feel like people don't have the tools to make solid decisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what else is important to you in life?
Plants.
Plants?
What's important to me? Just overall caring, being included, making sure people that creating inclusiveness Diversity is very important to me.
Absolutely. Perfect. So this is now we're teasing it out. Thank you so much for sharing, Jackie.
Yeah.
We're talking about inclusion, bringing people in, belonging, right? We're also, we've got people talking about God, faith, laughter, joy, independence. We've also got helping people accomplish a lifelong dream, accomplishment. Susan, providing for my family. Like these are the stories that actually, yes, we all want to provide for our family, but are people talking about that in their branding, that is my motivation? I don't see it as much as I would like to, because that's real. And that's the real story of Susan, providing for my family. What else? We've got gratitude, giving back, having fun, eating good food. Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Stacy, faith and family, trying to make a difference to others. And sure, Stacy's not a realtor, but I like to understand their coverage and put their minds at ease. Absolutely. Giving back. Diane's all about giving back. Being brave. I love that from Anna. Doing the right thing and being brave. Huge, 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 huge. Annette says, family, faith, friends, helping others, not worrying about knowing I got them and their clients, and being involved and sharing info to help their family, problem solving. Absolutely. So these are huge. So we're doing a couple more. Struggle. What is a specific struggle in your life that made you stronger? Write a few notes. And let's get someone to share. Yes, Tammy. Tammy, single mom, cancer. Jackie, being laid off. Anna, failure, failure, failure. Yes. Diana, divorce and raising my kids alone. Yes, can we get a snap for Diana? Lost, the loss of my husband. Absolutely. Parents didn't have a lot of growing up. Yes. Didn't have a lot of money growing up. Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I have one person share via video? Who is willing to share with us, be a little bit vulnerable, share with the group? Barbara, broadsided by a drunk driver. Huge.
I can share. The struggle that I encountered earlier in my teenage years and coming into America was coming to a different country and learning all over again the language. And now I had to prepare myself and blend in and learn the new culture. And so it is a struggle a little bit, but I loved it because I loved America. I loved the culture. I embraced it. And this is the place where you make all your dreams come true if you put your heart into it and if you put the effort into it. So that translates into real estate as well, because this is the place where you can own a house. In other countries, it's very difficult. First of all, other countries, they will never give you a 3.5 down payment. Or in China, you could never own a house. So those struggles help me now relate to foreigners or people that are not from here, and to explain the laws and all the things that, entail living in a new country.
So thank you so much, Geraldine. I'm just going to reflect back. I heard coming to a new country, huge, having to embrace, having a love for America because this is where dreams come true, but having to learn a new culture, a new language. This is huge. This is major, right? Like, these are the stories of who you are. And these are the stories that, Geraldine, that you want to be able to express in your branding in a way that feels full, and in a way that feels vulnerable, and in a way that feels like you're actually giving people. And this is also, one thing to also note is that we're not here to we're not here to have our personal branding be a therapy session, because that's not what we're trying to do here. But what we're trying to do is figure out what are the stories of struggle that we can really pull from to actually illustrate what our character is, and telling those stories in a way that feels generative for us. That's the translation that we're trying to make, because we've got, I mean, this is huge. Cancer twice, losing my dad in a car crash, and forgiving the girl who killed him in court. I mean, if that doesn't speak to character, I don't know what does. Abusive father, losing my son, having 2 bipolar parents. This, I mean, disappointment, this, my dear friends, this right here is differentiation. And this, because we are all, again, it comes back down, we are, our brands are personal brands. So we have to get personal. We have to go beyond pretty and get personal, because this is what ultimately, this is how you connect with people. If you can find a way to translate these stories, this is how you connect with people and connect with the right people. Okay, this is huge. Thank you all so much for sharing. As you can see, we can dive in real deep. And with our coaching clients and our courses, like, this is the exact process that we do with people. And there's so much to unpack, but by design. And the reason is because your character is complex. And the reason is we also want to have a lot of variety to work with, because these stories are the ones that really, again, make for strong personal brands. So when you start asking yourselves these kinds of questions and uncovering the ones that are most resonant for who you are as a person and as a realtor, and then translating that into your brand, this is when the character starts to shine through. And again, this is where differentiation happens. So also, has anyone heard the marketing advice, be authentic, and then like rack your brain about how to actually do it? If so, this is how you do it. This is exactly how you do it.
Absolutely. Now we're going to leave you with this, and thank you all. I'm just reading the comments and I'm so touched by everyone's vulnerability and bravery and resilience. So thank you. We're about to wrap up, but we want to leave you with something to take home and further think through as you think all about your branding and what really makes your branding unique, and the action items you're going to take afterwards. So we always talk about doing a brand audit first, and what that entails is taking a look at your current branding to see where it stands. And this is all for you to do at your leisure, and it's also an opportunity to reflect on your current brand's DNA. So we ask that you, and we'll send these slides to you after this, or we'll send them to Scott to send to the group. But in kind of reviewing your brand, or one way to do a brand audit is just take one piece of your marketing collateral. It could be your website, a video newsletter that you send out, direct mail. And once you have that one piece that you think best represents your brand, I want you to ask yourself, does it illustrate competence? And that could be, it could have lifestyle photos. It shows your process, your expertise, your selling success, and encouragement. Is that visually or embedded in the copy? And then next, you want to ask yourself, does it include your character? Stories of your origin, motivation, struggle, people, or passions. It doesn't have to include all, but usually when you illustrate some part of your character, that's sort of the next step, or the next elevation. And then lastly, take a look and come up with 3 words to describe what's in front of you, what you're looking at. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, you want to ask yourself, how would you rank your brand currently? And then think about, what do you need to do to bring it to a 10? And this is just an abbreviated version and process, but something very simple that all of you can do after this. And if this type of work resonates with you, let us know in the comments. You can send us or put your email in the address, and we're happy to schedule a one-on-one consultation to review your brand if it's something you're interested in.
Okay, so we covered a lot of information today. So I am curious, as we're closing out, what's one thing that has resonated for you all? And we'll get again, chat, and would love to hear from 1 or 2 of you via video. Cool. And I've got stories from Geraldine and Jackie, including personal motivation and branding. I need to go recheck myself. Stories shared, incorporating child characters since contemporary brand. Thank you. Thought it was more professionalism. Never thought people would want to know about me. This is huge. What Tammy is saying right here, never thought people would want to know about me. 100%. We see this across the board. We're realtors. We don't want to talk about ourselves. We want to talk about we want to talk about other people. We want to talk about our clients. Absolutely. But when we talk about personal branding and differentiation, again, remember, professionalism, excellent service, price of admission. That's not going to get you anywhere. That's the price of admission. So the differentiation is talking about yourself and being okay with that. Can we have one? Another question is, what's one thing you're going to implement after today? So you can answer either what's one thing that resonated with you or one thing that you're going to implement. And if we get one person to kind of chime in, then I think we can.
Yeah, I can speak on that, I think.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi. So I think, we're talking about, I'm hearing telling your story and how that does resonate with people, because people want to know, and it gives them a sense of feeling closer to you, or, like you want to connect more with that person. So I think implementing something more personal about myself.
Oh.
More authentic, and people resonate more with that, I believe. So I think it's telling our story in however short amount of time, or as succinctly as we can, or even doing the deeper dive.
Absolutely. This is huge. This is great. Thank you so much for sharing, Barbara. So Connie is gonna she's gonna put into the chat box a feedback loop. So we're gonna close out right now. We would love to hear your feedback on what we just shared. And we are always trying to improve our trainings like this and improve all sorts of things, and just want to hear your thoughts. So so Connie's gonna send in a link. It's a little bit funky. Sometimes you have to right click when you're in the Zoom chat, you have to right click and then go to services, and it'll pull out a menu that says open URL at the bottom. So you'll have to do that, unfortunately, in order to actually go into that URL. But if we could just take a couple of minutes, we'd love to get a couple of feedback surveys before we close out. And while we do that, I'm happy to, do we have time for a couple of quick questions, or Scott, do we need to close it out?
No, we got some time still. Go ahead.
Cool. So as y'all are doing that feedback loop, Q&A, thoughts, things you want to share?
How were the donuts?
How are the donuts?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Scott is referring to an email that we had sent out to our list that talked about how I went to Target looking for garden gloves, couldn't find garden gloves, but end up procuring a bag of Hostess donuts. Never thought I would. I don't know what happened, but they were delicious. And ultimately what I realized is that those donuts represented safety. and so much of the work that we do is trying to figure out, how do we operate in life? What are the life behaviors that show up in our everyday lives, and are they pointing to something else? Are they pointing to other ways that we're showing that are they pointing to the mindsets that we have, the insecurities that we have, the power that we have, the power that we don't think that we have? How are all the ways that our everyday lives are actually manifesting in what's going on internally for us? But yeah, go ahead, Scott.
The same thing happens to me with ice cream.
Oh, absolutely. Does the ice cream mean anything deeper for you, Scott?
Total comfort. Total comfort.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. So we have, are there any questions that y'all have?
Tammy wants to know if you have pricing.
Yeah, we can, Tammy, get in touch with us, and then we can have a conversation for folks that are, and Tammy and anyone else, if you're interested in consulting with us or coaching with us. Our email is, and maybe Connie, can you put this in the chat? Our email is hello, HELLO, at connieandkenny.com. Send us an email, and we're happy to have that conversation with you separately. We don't want to take up too much time here. We want to kind of keep it to what we offered up in this session, but we're happy to talk about that. Leanne says, what exactly do branding coaching? Yes. So for Leanne, we do coaching and training on authentic branding, personal branding, and authentic storytelling. And so that's how are you translating your authentic life into your authentic brand. That's what we did, that's what we were showing about today. And as you can see, we do a lot of mindset stuff. This comes around not only in branding, but also how does the mindset stuff come up in your business? Because it's huge, right? Like there's so much to unpack. But we love talking about branding because we don't think that realtors are strong enough in branding. And we don't think realtors do enough differentiation. And so this is why we focus our energies on the personal branding aspect of it. Cool. Anything else before we close out?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So, obviously everyone, there's so many platforms as in the real estate that we kind of, need to tackle: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, flyers. Is there somewhere you would say, so people don't get overwhelmed, start there? It's the easier one to tackle?
Yep, absolutely. And that's is that Susan? Susan, also, thank you so much. I want to shout Susan out for just being super engaged and thoughtful in the comments this session. So thank you so much. One thing that you want to do, if you're going to do anything at all, newsletter, email newsletter. It's not the sexiest thing, but it's actually the most sexy thing at all. Like overall, it's the sexiest one. The reason being, there's a couple of things. Email newsletter, your list of people that you're emailing, you own that list. Every other social media platform, that list is not owned by you. That platform is rented land. You do not own that land. So there's a single algorithm switch that could completely change how you show up in social media. So for the best bang for your buck, it's going to be your email newsletter and sending out. And again, this doesn't have to be, it's not every day. We send out emails every week, but it doesn't have to be every week. You can just send out an email to your whole list once a month. I think that's a good cadence to start off with. And that's one email a month. You all can do, every single one of you in the Zoom can do one email a month. And we would urge you to do so. So that's going to be the one thing. Anna Mae has been doing e-newsletters for so many years. Yes, since 2005. Incredible, Anna Mae. Cool. Any other questions?
I just have a comment. It was very enlightening about, I think a lot of us have a tendency to look at our past. I know for me, I was able to do that on my installation, but it's the first time I've ever brought to light like my past because I've been embarrassed about it. And actually, if I look at it, it's allowed me in the last 20 years to build strengths around that, going through what I did allows me to be the person I am today. And still need some tweaking here and there, but So thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times I don't, it's like, consider your audience, is always a big thing with me. But, I think people, the more genuine you are, the more authentic, the more, they appreciate that. Like everybody has a past.
This is huge, y'all. And y'all, I really want you to take note of what Diane was just saying. This is huge. Your story, the lessons that you're learning, one, super crucial for your branding. Two, we're always tweaking. If you're not tweaking, you're dead. So you always need to be tweaking yourself and your mindset. And you want this is the magic when it comes to personal branding. Bring people into those tweaks. Bring people on your journey, on your personal journey, in your business as a person, because this is how people get to know you. And we're in a business where it's just about connection. Literally, that's it. You're not trying to build a crazy big list of people here. That's not what we're trying to do. If you have 10 people that you're actively engaged in, like, think about those. If you have 10 like people that are cranking out referrals for you, you're set. That's all you need. So you're not trying to build a huge thing. And this is also one thing that I do want to mention. We don't talk about it here, but I'm going to mention it here. Every single marketing piece or marketing advice talks about like thinking about your audience. We don't care about that. We don't care about thinking about your audience for a couple different reasons. One is that, again, when you're talking about personal branding, it's about you and your story. Because when you tell your story, you're going to attract the right people, and you're trying to tell your story. So if you're thinking about like all this audience stuff, it's just going to get muddled. It's not to say that you never think about them, but think about your audience to inform your branding, not to define it. Like we do not want to start with your audience. The other reason why I think it's really, really important not to start with audience, because if I asked every single one of you in this Zoom, if you thought about all of your buyers and if their profile matches young, professional, first-time home buyer, I'm pretty sure every single one of you would say, yep, that's my audience. Yep, that's me. So don't start there, because if you're starting there, you're not going to get anywhere. So start here. That's all you got to do. And I think there's a couple of other. Mary says, how large is the content for your email newsletter? I'm assuming for Mary that you're talking about what's the length of an email. And if you want to clarify, maybe put it down into the chat. We don't think that they have to be very long. It depends on how often you're doing it. So we do a weekly newsletter, and ours are probably like 300 words. So, like a big paragraph that's kind of like chunked up. And when we're talking about email marketing or email sort of like email newsletters for realtors, it's got to be a mix, right? It's got to be a mix of you, again, your character, but it's also got to be a mix of your competence. So we talked about competence not being the price of admission, which means that you still need to have competence in your marketing. You still need to have your expertise, your selling successes. You still need to have all of that, but it needs to be also tied with your character. So that's a really great question. And so it doesn't have to be long at all. I would say one piece of character, one piece of competence, and which could be like a marketing stat, which could be like a client testimonial, which could be some, a listing, something like that. And that's it. That's all you don't want to have it too long. Anime, I just love Anna's comments. Thank you so much. Tammy, thank you so much as well. So Anna posts email newsletters on social media and allow my sense of humor to be highlighted. Absolutely, that's huge. Let's see if there's any other questions.
Susan had one.
Susan, a lot of us are involved in outside charity work. Is there a tactful way to bring it? Oh, I love this. Okay, yes, absolutely. This is huge. Okay, charity work, first and foremost, we want to talk about when it comes to you, why are you involved in that charity? what is connecting you to that charity? Is there some kind of connection? And if so, what is it? If that connection is, I don't really know. I think I thought I could get a lot of referrals out of it. If that's the case, one, sure, you do you. And if that is the case, then contact us and then we'll figure out how to story it better, how to frame it better. But I think it's actually, so there's a couple things about it. So when you're talking about charity work, you want to figure out like what's the through line that you're in terms of your involvement with that charity. So if you're involved with them in like a fundraising capacity, then that's great. Talk about that. Talk about why you think it's so important for you to fundraise with them. If you're actually doing direct service work with them, and like helping, for example, Habitat for Humanity, you're helping actually like build houses, then talk about that. Talk about what you're actually doing with the charity and why that's important to you, why that explicit activity is really important to you, and bring it into your branding, sprinkle it in. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to sprinkle in everything, all of these different little character pieces into all of your branding. So the tactful way to do it is one, also like, this is also just for you all to remember, when you're thinking about charity work, there's no need to be tactful about charity work. There's none. Because charity work, that's like pure character. And especially if you're talking about why you do it, there's no need for tact. Because that's purely you being like, I'm a person for other people. And this is how I do it. This is my way of channeling my values. This is my way of channeling how I want to be a leader in my community. That's it. So no need for tact. I have dogs, and so I don't care much about kid charities. This is also, I love this. Yes, so for anime, if you love dogs, bring in those dogs. Everyone loves the dogs. Everyone loves the dogs. The only thing for anime is that realize that, and this is also your opportunity, when you're talking about dogs, think about all of the other realtors that have dogs and feature dogs in their branding. It's at least, that's what we see in San Francisco. Every single realtor has a dog. It doesn't have to be their dog. They just take pictures with a dog. So, and honestly, that's what we tell our clients too. We say like, put in your letter to your seller, if you don't have a pet, borrow someone's, because that's what people want to see. But when we're talking about differentiation, we want to figure out like, what is it about the dogs that make you really like light up? And are we talking about like rescue dogs? Ooh, if we're talking about rescue dogs, yes. Bring in those rescue dogs, because that's when we can talk about it. That's the stories that we can get. And only big dogs, yes. Whatever it is. So, I think that this is huge. This is where we talk about like, whatever it is that is you, then we dig in. Then we dig in and we find, are there areas where we can talk about your origins, your motivation, your struggle, your people? So when we talk about people, this is who are you doing your work for? So we heard a lot of family. We heard, and when we dug into a lot of those struggles, we heard specific family members. So when you say family, don't just say family, think about who are the actual relatives and what kind of stories can you bring in from them to really communicate your brand, right? So that's origins, motivation, struggle, people, and the last one is passions. So what do you do outside of real estate? Or it could also be part of real estate, but what do you do that really brings you joy? The dogs, the charity work. Okay, I've gone on for quite some time. What's our timing situation? Do you want me to answer another question? What's going on? And maybe I might need some guidance from either Diane or Scott.
I think all the questions have been answered. So I think we're good.
Cool.
Unless you have something else you want to add.
No, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much for joining us today. It was really very informative.
Oh my gosh, I can't say, this was great. And everybody was being so real today. That was awesome. So I appreciate you two bringing that out in everybody. But yeah, so we have, do you have everything you need as far as we've got the links, and then you've got the email addresses of everybody with the emails and, or for the newsletters.
Yep.
So I think that's about it.
Thank you. Such a great audience, and thank you all for being engaged.
Thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it. And I think maybe we'd like to have you back sharing on something else, that would be great. We love the interactive. That was awesome, so.
Made my job easy, that's for sure.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to close out our meeting today. And I just want to make a call to membership for Women's Council of Realtors for Alameda County. If you're interested in finding out more about what we do, if you're interested in learning more about leadership, being trained in leadership, and just being able to be part of all of these wonderful educational series, please reach out to us on our Facebook page. You can call me directly if you want, 510-376-3590. Talk to other members. We would love to have you here with us. And it has truly changed my life. And also ask us about the history of Women's Council. That was my clincher for joining the group, the council. Anyways, okay. Thank you so much for being here. And we will be back June 9th with another great education series, or part of the education series. That will be Cabin Fever and Coffee number 6. Okay? Everybody have a great couple of weeks, and we'll see you here soon.